I fall off my chair, and I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Yes, I'm stuck.
What's up, everybody? This is Trip.
And I'm Jim.
And this is Deadcenter, where we try to conversate, not constantly hate, and get to the fucking point. We got some points today, man. Lots of them. But first of all, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there that listen to us. I know there's probably like 4, but happy Father's Day to you. I had a great Father's Day. Jim, you're not a dad. You don't get to have an opinion in this situation.
I hung out with my dad.
Yeah, hey, happy Father's Day to your dad. He created you, and, you know, or he was at least there. So
he did the easy part.
Yeah, the fun part, the stroking. Anyway, no, I burned all the hair off my arms and legs and sliced my finger open. It was a good time.
Doing the same thing?
No, they were separate occasions, but I was shit-faced, so, I mean, you know, it was all good. I was lighting a smoker. There was the smoker, the heat was out on the smoker, and it wasn't smoking, so I got the wood, you know, I was trying to get a flame back up before I put some more soaked wood chips on there, and as I'm hitting it with the lighter fluid, there's not really a flame going. I'm hitting this ember, and I'm like, well, shit, all right, let me do a little more. And as I do a little more, this giant fireball comes out of the front of it. And all right here, you can see it, all the arm
That's
right
rough.
Here, right?
That's rough.
Right there. Yeah.
That smelled great.
Yeah. And it got one nipple and some of my beard. It was great. And then I'm cutting brisket, and I got my knife all greasy, and I go to cut a fucking rack of ribs, and I'm going whoosh. And I go to cut it, and as I cut it, my finger slips forward and just right there. It's a brand new carving knife too. I almost had to go get stitches. Luckily, my wife's a nurse. She knew how to clean it, knew how to put it together. I was good. She can do at least that. So
Lucky.
Yeah, man, I got a good one. All right, but now that that's out of the way,
you know who's not having a good
You know who's not having a good Father's Day? That would be the families at the southwestern border of the United States right now. It's a big fucking deal.
If you don't know what's going on,
right? So back in the late
'90s,
'90s, the federal government was sued on certain portions of the immigration laws at the time, and they came up with this thing called the Flores bill. And the Flores bill was stating that if families came across the border and they committed a crime, they would be prosecuted, and their children have to be taken from them for 20 days. That's just the law. That's the ordeal of the law. That's how it works. They set up detention camps. Now this shit, they didn't really enforce this though, because taking children from people who are coming here to seek asylum is not. It's a human rights violation.
Well, real quick. When the bill was introduced and the bill was passed, I believe the way it was interpreted was if a family came here and they were seeking asylum or whatever, and they came here illegally and then did something. That was, I think, the big part of it.
Well, another crime.
Right. Is another crime had to be committed before you're treated like criminals. And that's I'm just going to throw this out there. It's not just illegal aliens that this happens to. I mean, if you have children and you and your spouse or whoever you had kids with, you know, commits a crime and you're incarcerated for it, your kids don't stay at home by themselves.
Right.
Your kids get adopted into the system of the government.
Well, and also let's just address the fucking fact that this is a misdemeanor. Coming into the United States illegally the first time is a misdemeanor. These people are having their kids ripped from them for 3 weeks for a misdemeanor. That means essentially a traffic violation, having under 28 grams of pot, things like that. A misdemeanor.
Now that would not get your kids taken.
No, but God forbid some brown people seek asylum in our country.
Yeah, well, the big argument right now on the right is that this is from the fan base, if you will. This isn't from the party.
Preface this and give them some context. We've been more or less praising Trump for some of his foreign policy issues, right? We've been saying that things are looking like they're going in the right direction. Over the course of the last week, they've been going in the wrong direction, especially on the Western front.
Yeah.
So just saying that, this is not going to be a fun Trump-loving episode, you fucking idiots.
No, not all of them are going to be, us saying we don't like him, but this is going to be one of those we don't like him and here's why.
Yeah.
So what's going on is the argument on the right is that these are criminals and they're being treated like criminals, and that a zero tolerance policy is something that should be enacted. And while most crimes, that's the law, and you know, you can disagree with the law, but it's the law. Okay. That being said, the way that the bill originally was implemented is, first of all, it was passed under Clinton, right? So when Trump says, whenever he's confronted with this, whenever anyone from his administration is confronted with this, what they do currently, what they are doing is saying, it's not our fault, we're just enforcing the law. They, as in the other guys, the other team, the blue team, the Democrats.
Because he wants to brand
that,
us, he wants to brand them as the bad guys.
You said us. That's
yeah, well, I was a Democrat for a long time, and I still lean left a lot of the time.
I was raised Republican, and, well, I spent all weekend butting heads with my folks.
Yeah.
I do it on purpose, though.
It is what it is, man. You can't, look, look, I'm a Christian, and I believe that constitutional conservative should not be a thing of the past, but I lean left on a lot of issues. So me and my mom butt heads a lot, but that's irrelevant.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think this is a partisan issue.
No, I'm so glad you said that too. It's not a partisan issue. This shouldn't be us versus them. Donald Trump is once again using his bully tactics to try to push forward an agenda and make the other side look bad.
And while we don't mind the bully tactics to a certain extent when it comes to your aggressive enemies.
Right,
that's one thing.
We've talked about this.
Where we've criticized the bully tactics before is when he uses them with allies. For example, and I mean, I'm sure we're going to come back around to this when you talk about things going bad in the West.
I mean, next week's show.
His trade tactics are definitely affecting our allies right here in North America.
Well,
but that aside, what we have driven home more than once is that bully tactics when it comes to preventing war, okay, like we're all for it.
The U.S.
as long as
they're going to work.
Exactly, but when it comes to trade, it's almost like you got to be careful who you're dealing with. And then when it comes to domestic policies, you can go fuck yourself.
Right.
That is not where you use bully tactics. Right. And that's what he's doing. He's basically saying because this law is there and it was implemented at the time by Democrats.
Yes, there was Democrats in power, but it was a bipartisan bill.
That's okay.
And
it was part. I want to say it was part. Was it part of the Crime Act?
Yes.
Okay.
That was part of what the federal government was sued for, so it was put in under these circumstances.
Okay.
And then,
so it was post-Crime Act.
Right. And then you had, in 2008, one of the last things George Bush signed was a furthering of this immigration bill that was to help stop sex traffickers, drug traffickers, things of that nature that had to do with trafficking minors. You know what I mean? That had to do with, okay, if this child came unaccompanied, yes, he had to become taken into detention, into our care. Right? That's just how it went. That's the operation of the law.
The main goal of the bill was to avoid exactly what we're currently doing. And while it's separate from parents, you're separating the people you are detaining. You are putting adults in detention, and then you would have to take care of those kids. You want to put those kids in a foster home. Right, but they're not. There's a and look, and to be fair to the right now. This happened under Obama, right? In 2014 and 13, there's pictures of these camps with these kids in it being treated the same way they are now. There was just a lot less. And they also weren't put on blast.
Right. It was just a lot less. Now, you had maybe one or two a day.
2,000 in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
2,000 children.
Yeah. And that's in and out. You know what I mean? And that, there's the capacity of the place is 1,500. And there's 1,400 there now. You know what I'm saying? And there's not supposed to be that many to a room at one time. And not only that, but you're having part of the federal regulation as far as these workers are concerned at these camps is that you can't touch the kids out of fear of liability by being sued.
So you definitely can't do anything that includes cleaning them.
Right, and now the older kids are having to change the diapers and wipe the ass and clean the younger kids, which I'm sure they don't want to fucking do. So now you're creating a humanitarian crisis. When Scaramucci goes on CNN and says, Trump, you got to stop, maybe it's a time to say, hey, we should stop.
This is
because that's exactly what happened today.
I mean, Laura Bush took to writing a guest article in the Washington Post.
Melania Trump said, hey, I know we need to enforce immigration policy, but maybe separating kids, there's something else we could do. And when Jeff Sessions gets up there and says, you gotta abide by the law because the book says abide by the law in Romans. You gotta uphold the law. Fuck you.
And then his own church came out and said, that's not how we
Yeah,
interpret
if you would read, Stephen Colbert did it brilliantly the other night. If you read a few more passages down, you'd see that it says, love thy neighbor. You know what I mean? In Romans, it said, love your neighbor as yourself is the absolute point of the law. That's the whole point. The law is there to not let criminals run free and to hurt people, but at the end of the day, you have to love your neighbor. You have to do it with love and want to correct this thing, not just be mad at a bunch of brown people trying to seek asylum.
Oh, and even if that's not what it is, even if what you're doing is, on one hand, appealing to your fan base, you're telling your voters, I've been kicking people out right and left, I've been strict on the border, Democrats are all mad. What you're doing is you are using these children, 2,006 weeks, you are using their horror story, because that's what it is. What you just said about the diapers, that's been on last for the news.
That is,
you are using them as literal political hostages to try to get immigration reform done your way.
I'm glad you used the term hostages, because this is now second or third time Trump's done this. Let's go into why he says it's the Democrats' fault, for example. Barack Obama, when he tried to make the DACA a executive action and have executive amnesty for the deferred action for childhood arrivals, that's what DACA stands for, right? That was immediately granting the people who would come in, right, who weren't afraid, who said, you know what, I trust the president, I trust they're not going to send me away. He'd go in and he'd say, hey, I'm DACA. And they'd get amnesty. That was 800,000 people immediately, right? And now to this day, until they rescinded it, 800,000 people. Now Trump has beefed up the number, and there's believed to be 1.3 million people here, undocumented child DACA recipients here that would be eligible for DACA. I'm sorry, that are here right now, right? And Trump has said, I'll give these 3 million people, the ability to be here if they would just give me my wallet. You are holding these people hostage when you do that. You're saying, okay, I know this last president did this, but I'm not going to let it happen until you guys give me what I want. That is essentially holding it hostage. I don't care how you look at it. I don't care how hardline you are on immigration. You can't use people as political pawns. That is the shit that dictators do. That is the shit that other countries do. People want to talk about being mad at torture because it makes us look like our enemies. Well, so does this. So does this. And it's just as bad.
The Human Rights Council's already come out and condemn it.
Well, I'm not going to say that there doesn't need to be something done about the overflow of illegal immigration to this country. I'm not saying that, we shouldn't provide a better pathway for people who are afraid. I'm not saying that we shouldn't. It is I don't want to say it's a burden on our economic policy, but if these people were allowed to work, they would be able to pay into Social Security. They would be able to pay into our economy. They would be able to do things that would help our country in the long run as a whole. So I'm not saying
they'd have to pay taxes and all that.
Right, exactly. That's the point. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a better funnel for that. You want to build a wall? Fine. Let everybody who's here illegally either be a citizen or at least have a green card. That way all their kids will be citizens. You know what I mean? You want to be extreme one way? Well, be extreme the other way too, because then you can work it all the way out. But don't take people from their families.
Anyone out there that thinks this is okay, that you're backing Trump and you think this is okay, you have to be in some sort of mindset that makes you think that somehow him doing this is going to result in an effective immigration policy. If anything,
They think he's playing 4D chess.
They want all the illegal aliens out, and they want no more coming in. And that's why they're okay with the wall. That's the mindset. It has to be the mindset, because you are already ignoring the fact that Trump's doing this to get his wall thrown around in Congress. Well, it was never supposed to go to fucking Congress. Right. Mexico was supposed to pay for the fucking wall.
Yeah, but then you put tariffs on Mexico, and that's how they pay for it. You wind up hurting the U.S. consumer, right? So, look, they do
it this way, you hurt the U.S. taxpayer.
Right. Well, look, I'm not endorsing the wall. And I know I just said what I said, real fast. Look, the humanitarian aspect of the wall, as in you deter coyotes, right? And I'm not talking about the animals. I'm talking about the human traffickers or the people who, hey, pay me pesos and I'll take you to America, and then they rape the kids and, you know, do all that kind of shit. You deter coyotes because you put a wall there. You have people at the wall. You know, the only port of entry is, you know, certain checkpoints. And the law states that if these illegal immigrants go to these checkpoints and say, I need to seek asylum, they will immediately be taken in. They won't be charged as an illegal immigrant. But if you live in Mexico, you probably don't know U.S. law. So you don't understand that I can just go here and talk to ICE. I can talk to Border Patrol. You probably think that they're going to detain you. And guess what? They probably are. That's the reports. That's what the reports of CNN and MSNBC and NBC and ABC and all these everybody other than Fox essentially is saying. So look, I'm not saying that immigration shouldn't be looked at. Like there's a way to do it. You want to be completely hardline one way, guess what? You have to make it available for all the other probably 2-3 million people that are here illegally to have a way out of the shadows, to want to come out and not be in fear of being deported. Just because you are American does not make you better than a Mexican because they are Mexican. That makes you racist. It makes you racist. That makes you a nationalist piece of shit. I'm sorry, it does. You are not better than me and I'm not better than you simply because of my skin color or where I'm from or what accent I have or how old or young I am. None of that shit fucking matters. Okay? I'm really glad we got to get on immigration today because I've been waiting to bash this fucking douchebag. And bash Jeff Sessions. He is a spineless little fucking turd. And, sorry, I just had to blow up for a minute.
It's alright.
I was on my soapbox.
I'm sorry I've been so quiet because, like, when it comes to...
Look, dude, you know when I get on a roll, it's hard to stop.
We haven't done this in a minute. We haven't done this in a good minute.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
But, King of the World.
King of the World. If I think I just said my King of the World.
I think you did.
And look, I want... I'd have no problem with better border security. And I'm not saying do like Israel and shoot people that are coming in.
I also don't mean like Israel where there's like checkpoints and mines for
right, yeah. No, I mean, look, border security. Don't let people in illegally and be more open to the idea of, let people know, hey, if you're seeking asylum, because that's what a lot of these people are doing. What was the whole quote? Give us your tired, give us your weak, and we will make them strong. We're not doing that. We're worried about a bunch of brown people coming in and making money doing farm work that white people don't want to do.
We need to change that. We just need to change the message on Ellis Island.
Yeah,
it needs to be changed.
It is what it is, man.
It's no longer give us your sick, you're hungry.
Well, you know what's funny is 45% of these people come in airplanes through chain migration. I mean, look, I'm dead ass. Please tell me.
We can all remember when Trump argued against the wall while he was arguing for the wall. It was one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen when he sat there and was like, well, they can't go under. Well, maybe they can go under. Well, they can't go over the wall because, how are they going to get back down? Well, maybe they can use a rope or a ladder. But still, the wall would be great.
It's a symbol, right? It's symbolic. It's look.
Of our national.
Again, there's a humanitarian reason for it. But it is not the reason he wants to pursue it, is my point, right? Look, there are, like I said, 2 to 3 million, if not more, undocumented illegal immigrants here, right? You give them a pathway to citizenship, or at least a pathway to work here, right? You cut off the water hose overflow of illegal immigration here, right? That could wind up hurting the economy in a way, if we don't try to get a handle on it, because I'm a firm believer that if these people can work and pay into our economic system, then it would benefit everybody. And then their kids will be American citizens, because that's how it is in America. If you're born here, you're a citizen of America, right? So, in other words, I'd tighten up border security, I'd make it more, I would open the door and say, hey, you're not going to be arrested. Mexico, you're on notice. If you want to come here, come to a border agent. Border agents, don't stop and frisk. Border agents say, hey, we've got something for, we've got a place you can come to until you can get your green card, seek asylum. I wouldn't be handing out cash benefits and things like that, but at least if you can get here and get a job in the first 90 days that you're here, why not? Why not? There's so much work, and if you look at farm work, especially now that the tariffs are coming in, there's going to be so much shit that farmers don't want to have to pay for on the books that if people got here and were able to have incentive to do it legally, Oh, that would have to be changed. Don't get me wrong. I can't go down
Yeah,
into the economic
when
policy.
you get into economic, and I didn't want to chime in too quickly because you're on a roll, but I do want to say this, that there is one theory, and this is something to shout out to Professor Small at Rollins College, my advisor through my degree there. He probably would be shaking his head if he knew that I was bringing him up in this kind of a discussion. He told me one time, I was talking, this was the last election, and I was talking to him about, well, when I say, oh my gosh, it wasn't the last election, this was pre-2008.
The last president.
Yeah, the last president.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about, this might have been after he was elected in 2008. Maybe this was early 2009, my sophomore year. But my point is I was talking to him about immigration and how I just I did not understand at the time why borders were even a thing. Like, why do we as a country care that someone wants to come and live here? Why wouldn't we throw a party for them? Like, hey, yeah, you want to be American? Fuck yeah, let's be American together. Like, that was my attitude, because of course at the time I was this 19-year-old hippy-dippy college student that wanted to save the planet and everyone's power of love.
Well, yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
but it makes you a sovereign nation.
But that's it, and his point wasn't, he immediately said it doesn't fucking matter. He goes, it doesn't matter because it will never be reformed. And the reason it will never be reformed is because since slavery ended in this country, our economic system, especially the ones that prop it up as a system, are propped up by cheaper than dirt labor. And the cheaper than, and I mean, granted, this guy, I mean, we talk about hyper liberal, but he had a point. He's just one of those things, like, both sides say it needs to be reformed. Both sides claim to care about these people.
Both sides have money in their pockets from people who don't want it to be reformed.
Exactly. And both sides have had ample opportunities to blanket reform it. I mean, even right now, if the Republicans wanted to fucking change stuff, technically speaking, they could do it without any of the Democrats' help.
Well, apparently Paul Ryan's office, the Speaker's office, is supposed to be proposing a bill within the next week to stop this. But Donald Trump has said he doesn't want to sign it.
But it's probably because it doesn't have the bill. It's not snuck in there for funding the wall. You sneak the funding of the wall in there, and I guarantee you he'll start talking as if it's a good bill. I'm sorry, it's just it sucks that it's the case, but that is the case. And plus, this bill that they introduce, it's not going to be a fix-all.
No.
And to be honest, do you want to finish up maybe your King of the World before I jump in there?
I would. Well, like I said, tighten up border security, stop the stop and frisk bullshit, allow people who want to seek asylum to seek asylum. Let people know, hey, you don't have to cross illegally to try to seek asylum, because now they're treating, you know what I mean? Stop this madness that they're doing, because I'm sure there's a vast number of these people who don't realize that they can just go, that they're supposed to, what the operation of the law says. We're not in San Diego. We haven't been seeing what's happening. We've just been seeing on the news, and they're not doing this. The ICE agents aren't doing this. The people that do come and say, hey, I want to seek asylum, they still get treated like criminals, right? Stop that nonsense, okay? Let them know, hey, if you want to seek asylum, there's paperwork you have to go through. You won't be separated from your kids. Allow that to happen and take place, okay? Now, obviously, some people might lie. And that's just a fact of the human condition, right? That's something I always talk about, is the human condition. People take advantage of things that are good. The 2% fuck it up for the other 98%. Right?
Shitty people do shitty things.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's not far-fetched to believe that something like that would occur. But, God, the 2% of people should not be able to control the rest of the entire immigrant population. So, again, if we're going to have tightened border security, specifically, I don't want to say a wall, but higher border security, man. And then we open a pathway for people who are already here illegal to come out of the shadows and be working on green cards, have visa passes, and become citizens. Their kids will then, in turn, be citizens and be able to pay into the United States economy, and we will benefit as a nation from that. And the reason I say tighten border security is because borders do make us a sovereign nation. We can't just look like everybody just come in and not have records of anybody and just, whatever you want to do. The point I'm trying to get across is, yes, there has to be order to things, but that doesn't mean that the order is take people from their families. Does that make sense? Did I bring it home?
Yep. No, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
The one thing I do want to point out is we like calling the segment King of the World, and what Tripp just did was more of like an Emperor of the United States thing, because you want to keep that salary. And I was going to point that out. My first thing is, like, if I was King of the World, there wouldn't have to be the border in the first place.
Yeah, where's Billy when we need him?
Yeah, this argument becomes kind of moot. But I will say this. If I was Emperor of the United States, I guess, or if I control, put it this way, if my party controlled all 3 freaking branches of the government and I was the executive at the head and half the people were afraid to go against me because they thought they wouldn't be reelected if they did, I'd get some fucking shit done.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, I don't know about beefing up border security, but I would put the law on blast. I mean, call it fucking propaganda if you want to, but okay, so what I would do if I were Emperor of the United States, or if I was President Trump right now and I thought that I had the entire backing of my people in the government, I'd go to the Mexican president, and again, I have to drop the Donald Trump, if I was Donald Trump thing, because the Mexican president wouldn't meet with him at this point, but if it was me and I was newly elected and it was after Donald Trump and I had the whole, everyone loved me. And everyone wanted me to get shit done. I would go to Mexico first. I would literally be like, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to meet with you down there, and I want you to tell me, not when it comes to trade, because that's not why I'm here, not when it comes to, I want to know when it comes to the border, when it comes to the border between our countries, what are your concerns? What do you want to see? And from that, you can create so much compromise, because like you said, if you right now, as the law stands, if you go to the border and you seek asylum, there is a process. There's a process, you get let into the country, there's a process. If we could somehow team up with Mexico and have that be a joint process, that's something that I think is extremely doable.
That's absolutely correct.
And it would be something that you then could put it on blast.
Imagine how much we could get done if we weren't having bully tactics with our neighbors.
What is that expression about honey and vinegar and flies, something like that? I don't know.
I don't know, but
point being, it's my policy, my tactic would be, Mexico, what do you want to see more of at the border? Because I can help you get that done if you help me out.
Right.
I don't need a flood of people seeking asylum, but I want you to let your people know that they're safe if they want to seek asylum in our country. And if we have it this way, to where we communicate while doing it, have some kind of joint agency, we could have it be to where, like, half of the burden of taking on these people, maybe not the physical housing burden or anything like that, but the documentation burden, the burden of background verification, that could be done in tandem with the Mexican government.
I just worry that...
I'm not saying it's a perfect system.
Right. I'm just saying I worry about that becoming a bureaucratic paper mill.
What, like it becomes a line to get in?
Right.
No, I think it would alleviate that line right now.
Just by the sheer numbers that are coming in and getting prosecuted immediately, you know that this line would back up.
Your first thing would be, and I say you, it would be me, I guess, in this hypothetical, but my first thing would be set it up, then let the people know.
Right.
Don't let the people know you're going to do it, and then while you're setting it up, they're showing up. That's a shit show.
Right.
I understand that. That'd be a waste of taxpayer money from both sides of the aisle, and by that aisle I mean the Mexican border.
Right.
But if I was king of the world, doesn't fucking matter because there isn't a border to deal with, and we're gonna start. Flood Mexico with our McDonald's and shit. But
there's a lot more we can cover in this subject. You know, the overworked lawyers in that area, the courtrooms that are filled up from front to back.
Bring them in.
Immigrants.
Bring them in.
The point is, we don't have time to go through the intricacies of it right now, but I think we both are in agreement that it's atrocious.
I think a lot of people, the only argument that anyone that is disagreeing with us right now about these atrocities can possibly say
is the law.
That's exactly it. Is these parents did it to their kids? They knew what was going to happen. That's wrong. Because while the law has always been this way, and while we have enforced the law to an extent in the past, we have never done anything to this magnitude that affected this many families in such a short period of time.
Yep. There's a reason why it wasn't treated exactly as written. It was interpreted differently, and it's just trash. I wish we could go more, but actually we got a couple more things to talk about. We didn't get to talk about it on last week's show. The Supreme Court upheld the Masterpiece Cake Shop's bid for the not being able to, or not having to refusing service to the gay. He wasn't. All right, so gay couple goes in, right? They say it's a wedding. It's a cake shop for weddings. They say, hey, we're getting married. And the cake guy says, I can't make you a cake. It's against my religion.
Here's my question.
I'm sorry.
Real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a description of the cake that they asked for?
They asked for a cake with 2 men.
That's it. That's all they asked. It was a simple wedding cake.
It was
the only difference is that the topper has 2 figures in tuxedos.
No, it's because they said we're gay and we're getting married.
Are
it's
you
not,
okay.
Yes, I'm absolutely sure.
Because here's how it's been argued to me.
Okay. From what side?
Take a guess.
The left?
No.
Oh, the right.
The right.
Okay. Just wondering.
Or the middle. I'm gonna be honest. There's some people that think.
I don't like Donald Trump, but he tells it like it is.
Yeah. Anyway,
I got you.
This would be the right. There have been arguments where it's like, if you are a straight Christian male who owns a shop, you've owned it for a long time, and again, I be honest with you, I gave so little of a fuck about this case. I'm sorry. I love my gay friends a lot. I support everything that the LGBT community
White privilege. Check your privilege, Jim.
I'm sorry. It's one of those things where it's like, at the time, I just didn't care because to me it was like, go to a fucking cake shop. Just go to a cake. There's other cake shops.
Look, I think this
couldn't
is a
have
case
been
where
the only.
I think this is a case where the free market wins. I think you go into this shop, they tell you no, you say good day, you boycott the shop, go give another
Tell
shop.
all of your friends.
Exactly.
Tell all your straight friends.
Look,
because your gay friends are gonna find out.
Right. I think this is a case where the free market decides this cake shop's fate.
And I agree with you. I think that the one thing that may have been okay, so if this was handled that way, that cake shop probably would have already gone under. But the reason that it isn't going to is because now you're going to have the fucking douchebags that rally for support of the anti-gay cake shop.
Look, my only argument from the gay community for this, because the Constitution won. I'm a Christian, but I think people should, I support gay marriage. We can go into that another day. That's not exactly what this is about, but I support gay marriage. I am also a Christian. I am an independent, okay? And I think that the free market would have won this had it been handled the way I just said. The only thing about this, right, is because if this couple were black and went in there and said, hey, we're getting married, and the guy said,
we want black toppers.
Right, we're black and we're getting married, and he said, I worship Bob, and Bob says blacks can't marry, I'm not making you a cake. There's protections in place for black people. There's not those same protections in place for gay people. That is okay. That
was the argument that I was kind of getting to, that the right has said. The right has said, if I was a straight older man and I had a cake shop and someone came in asking me to make them a bachelorette party cake, and that cake was supposed to be a big phallus with semen pouring down of it or something, I would rightfully so be appalled that you would even ask me to form said giant phallus.
By phallus, he means cock.
The penis. The cock and balls in the form of a cake and make chocolate. I'm gonna eat it with the cream filling. That's. I mean, it's far-fetched. I understand, but it's one of those things where like you wouldn't even approach that guy to get that done. If you want to get that done, you go to the dick cake store.
So what you're saying is they were fishing.
What I'm saying that it's one thing to say that someone's being prejudiced against me. That is the case. Now he has an argument. It's my religion.
Look, the
time
Constitution
out. Time out. At one point, there are so many. The problem, I don't think it's fishing, because I think when someone does something wrong like this man did, then you should put it on blast. They just did it the wrong way. Like you said, that you could go the free market route. No one's the wiser as far as the anti-gay community goes, because they don't care enough.
Right.
And then everyone that's on your team spreads the word, and that cake shop goes out of business. If you had gone there and he said, I can't do the 2-man topper, you bake the cake and then you buy your own topper. But this man refused service just because they were gay. That is the part that is wrong. That's not the part that was brought to the damn Supreme Court, though.
Right.
Unfortunately, it was different.
What aggravates me is when Christians say, and I'm a Catholic, okay? I get it. But when Christians say God won, no, God didn't win. The Constitution won. That is his constitutional right to say, my religion says I can't do this, therefore I'm not doing this. That is what the Supreme Court upheld 7-2. It is not that they are all, look, it's 5-4 as far as liberal to conservative. That means two Democratic judges said, they were, it's what the Constitution calls for. He had his rights. My argument is, again, if a black couple went in there and he was prejudiced to people, we don't have to say black couple, a Mexican couple, an Asian couple, a white couple, depending on who walks in there.
Oh, we can make it even better. We can make it even better.
Please do.
It was an interracial couple.
It was okay, oh, you know what? That would probably happen quicker. If an interracial couple walked in and he said, you guys are unequally yoked, and that would be prejudice. There are protections in place for people of color that there are not in place for gay people. I don't think this gets to the Supreme Court if it's a black couple, right? Or an interracial couple.
It wouldn't even.
I don't. Right. The NAACP would lock it down. The ACLU would lock it down, quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Most.
Okay. That's the problem.
Which state did this take place again? Where was this? Yeah. See, that's.
I don't know. But it doesn't matter because it got to the federal Supreme Court.
You're right. I'm just saying, like, there's certain areas of the United States that if it was an interracial couple,
maybe?
Yeah, see, if it was in the Carolinas, the interracial couple issue might have actually gotten farther than you think, which is sad. It's super sad that we have to say that. But yeah, in California, it probably would have never even been an issue. In South Carolina, Alabama,
Georgia,
Mississippi, it might have been. It might have gotten to an appellate court, in which case it would have made the news.
Well,
but the point is, it's not. Should there be protections?
There should absolutely.
Yes.
Look, the Constitution is what won. Don't let me deviate from that. I'm glad that the Constitution won in this case. He had rights, and I think he should. But I think that either you put protections in place for all minorities, being gays, transgenders, black people, any person of color, or you take them all away and let the free market decide. Okay? Now, I think if you let the free market decide for everybody, it doesn't work as well. Right? I think that...
No, Nike refusing to make you a shirt or a shoe because you're gay doesn't hurt Nike. It would never hurt Nike.
No, but Nike wouldn't be dumb enough to do that.
No, you're right, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
A little mom and pop cake shop should not be dumb enough to do that.
Right, to refuse service because you're black or because you're this or that. I think... you either...
I'm surprised he didn't get a meeting from the Pope about it. The lady that worked in government, that bitch that refused, was like, I know what the law is, but my God won't let me sign the paper. Remember her?
Yeah.
Right before the election?
I know.
She got to sit down with the goddamn Pope, and I'm going to call him that. The goddamn Pope. She had to sit down with the goddamn Pope after doing some stupid shit like that. This guy got to the Supreme Court. Where's his fucking sit down, Francis?
I don't... That same passage in the Bible says that we shouldn't eat shrimp, get tattoos, or cut our facial hair.
Doesn't it also say don't play with the skin of a pig and
lots and lots of shit that would not be applicable today? Okay? It's just icky. The Republicans think it's just icky and unnatural. And
Ew, I don't want to see that.
And they're used to the social construct that men and women are what they are. Look, I'm all for tearing down social constructs, okay? I think if there are two parents in the home that have... I think the whole thing about a mother and father being in the home isn't that mom can teach you shit. I mean, yes, mom can teach you things dad can't and vice versa. But it's more about the support system. Right? Because if it's just one parent there getting tired of your kid's shit all the time, he probably starts letting shit slide that he shouldn't. If he has a support system, he doesn't get away with all the same shit. He has two people to look up to who are probably different. I'm all for tearing down social constructs, okay? I'm all for that my religion should not mean you have less rights because it's my religion, not yours, okay? I'm all for that shit, okay? I have the right to believe what I believe. I have the right to believe that, dude, if you want to get married under the state, that is, man, I'm all for that. You deserve every single benefit that I get because I'm straight. Okay, and I also think that the church that says, hey, it's against my belief. Because this isn't just Christians. Christians are just being propped up right now. It's Muslims, it's Christians, it's any other religion that says it's only a man and a woman, right? I think they should be able to say, no, I won't marry you. But I don't think that means that you shouldn't be able to be married. I'm not going to argue the term from Greek philosophy just to argue the term. I'm
The
not going to
separation of church and state supposed to already fucking be there.
We could get
So like go to the
agree.
courthouse, get married. Well, I want to hold a wedding. Have a wedding.
Have a wedding.
Have a wedding.
Have a wedding.
If you want a wedding in a church, you're gonna have slim pickings. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think we both. The Constitution won. Should there be more protections in place
Absolutely.
for gay people?
I do want to point this out before we just slap the Constitution one on it. Specifically, why this got to the Supreme Court. The appeals had nothing to do with right to cake. The appeals had to do with rights of religious freedoms in the business. And that's understandable. So when we say the Constitution and the free market won, this cake
No, the
shop,
Constitution won. Free market would have gone better.
well, the free market would have gone better. But what I'm saying is what the Constitution upheld. What this ruling was hey, there's better ways to go about this. This cake shop should no longer be in business if you had gone about this right way. I honest to God think that's the lesson to be taken from here.
Well,
however, if it had gotten to the Supreme Court for the reason of these people were refused business for their sexual orientation, we need to do something about it, that is a different story. That is completely a different story. Like, for example, and we could flip this. We could absolutely flip this. Say you are dating, hypothetical here, you're a straight guy. You're a straight guy, you're in your 20s. And this bombshell that you have been, trying to hit up forever has finally agreed to go out with you. Mm-hmm. She wants to go out to her place. Mm-hmm. The place that she goes out and she feels the most comfortable and she has the most fun and she wants to bring you happens to be a gay nightclub. Mm-hmm. You go there, and as a couple, when you're walking in, the bouncer tells you, you can't come in. Your money's no good here. You're not allowed in here because you have to be gay to be let in. That would hit the news. Right. That would hit the news. And that flip, that little bit of anger you have because I just hypothetically took away your right to walk into a place of business because you're straight. Imagine that, but for forever, always, and everybody. Yeah. That's the frustration the gay community has right now, and we do need to recognize that.
Right, and I think that I think there should be the same protections in place for gay people that there are for black people and people of color. As far as
we have age, we have race, age, sex, religion. Now we just need to add sexual orientation.
Yeah,
I mean that's.
I completely agree. Anything? I know this is kind of a short show this week. Anything else? Ohio? We want to touch that? Yeah, a little bit on that. Ohio.
So you're telling me if I don't use it, I'll lose it?
Yes, indeed.
Apparently, yeah, that's the case.
In Ohio, they decided that GOP, nonetheless, pushed that if you haven't voted in 2 election cycles, that your right to vote, not right to vote, but your voter registration is revoked. You got to go do it again. Right. Not that you will not be able to vote anymore. So I don't want it to seem over. But still, it's like these last couple of elections haven't been the best. Like it's.
And this is one of those
things.
On.
And I'm not even talking about just presidential. The 2014 midterm elections. Who did we have to vote for? Like Dick Snot? Rick Scott. But in all seriousness, like we didn't. It's not like they've been great.
Third grade insults.
And guess what? 50% of Americans didn't vote in the 2016 elections because it was Hillary versus Trump.
Right.
James Comey hating Hillary versus fucking build a wall, ban a Muslim Trump. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, the way I just put it makes it sound like Hillary should have won. And guess what? She won the popular vote. But the point is, they weren't good choices. I voted for Gary Johnson for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks.
There's so many things wrong here, and I think one of the big ones is the way this got to the Supreme Court is a big one, because the way it happened was basically people were showing up to vote and they couldn't find their name in the registry because their voter registration had been taken out. Yeah. And you can't register to vote on the spot, so try again next year. Like in 2 years. It's just what? Like no, you can't do. Sorry, you can't do that. it's astounding to me that it was held up.
Right.
Because we do have laws in place that orchestrate how a state goes about removing voter registrations for people that have moved or people that have died. But
not just because you don't use it.
This is just this is either, and I mean you could go human condition here. This is either Ohio and Ohio officials being fucking lazy, or, which is probably the case, they are just being malicious. I mean, they're like,
Ohio
wouldn't
is
it be
what?
great if
What
we
is
just had-
Ohio in presidential elections?
It's a battleground.
Exactly. That is my fucking point.
Right.
Cincinnati and Cleveland are two. I'm sure I would.
They're blue.
They're blue, but they're also very impoverished cities within the United States.
So dark blue.
So dark blue. So people who may not be as informed or not or not be able to get to the voting place, things that outlying circumstances that could keep people from voting in the election, that probably do keep people from voting in the election. The GOP is taking advantage of in this situation and saying nope.
And if the GOP still runs the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
While the first purge of voter registrations happens,
Mm-hmm.
then I can tell you right now who's going to get skimmed off the top.
Exactly. The point. The
I mean,
same people who got skimmed off the top in the 1999 or 2000 elections with Florida. The same people. We're talking about poor African Americans.
Right. Well, we can also blame Nader a little bit here in Florida.
I don't want to hear it. I'm telling you right now, Jeb Bush is a piece of dirty dog shit. But they skimmed off. They did the same.
Hey, we just
thing.
talked about. Oh, throw this out there real quick because I almost brought it up earlier. Okay, I know this is. I'm gonna drive
Jim
this
is
home with my
wagging
finger.
his
I
finger.
am wagging my finger around, and it's to Republicans right now. Any Republican that voted not Jeb Bush in the primaries in 2017 or 2016 for the Republican Party, if you didn't vote Jeb Bush and now you're whining and crying saying this president's not going the right way about immigration reform, you voted for the wrong Republican.
Jeb Bush was okay with immigration reform.
That's what I'm saying.
That was like his only blue subject.
It was more than just a blue subject.
Right.
It was the only subject that he really had a firm grasp and plan for.
Right.
I mean, if immigration...
His brother was the governor of Texas.
If immigration reform is something, as a Republican, if you're listening to this, and immigration reform is something that you believe should be done, you voted for the wrong Republican. Mm-hmm. And if you voted for Jeb and he didn't make it, I'm sorry, you're in the minority.
Well, the point of this conversation is that, you can't. It's not fair. I mean, and like we said earlier, just because it's the law doesn't mean it's okay. Everything that's legal ain't good.
Oh, and the states that are going to follow suit now, that's what I'm mostly concerned about.
I'm looking at Louisiana. I'm looking at Florida. I'm looking at Alabama. I'm looking at Georgia. I'm looking at mostly southern.
You're just talking about the red team.
I'm looking about.
You don't think the blue team's going to respond in kind?
I think I'm looking at possibly No, because a lot of these places.
Pennsylvania.
But look,
New Jersey.
the silent majority are the ones that are going to benefit from this because they do go vote.
Look.
The
I
same
understand
people
what you're saying,
the people
but
that
I'm saying
elected
that
Barack Obama didn't come out and elect Hillary Clinton for a reason. And those people are going to lose their voting rights because of some stupid shit. It's stupid.
I don't disagree with you. What I'm saying is for anyone out there that's saying, yeah, Republicans suck because they're trying to control the vote. First of all, open your fucking eyes. Second of all, my point is if Ohio gets away with this and does it the way we're saying it's going to probably be done, if it is a repeat of Florida 2000, they just skim the Democrats that haven't voted in 2 terms off the top. Mm-hmm. Do you really think that the Democrats are too good to turn around and do the same fucking thing in their states?
No.
California's already about to split in the benefit of the blue
But
team.
I don't think it works for Dems the same way it could work for Republicans because a lot of big cities are Democratic. And the thing
it's not just big cities where people don't go vote. I mean, put it this way: if
yeah, maybe I'm looking at it through the wrong lens.
I'm trying to. Okay, so Florida.
Right.
Let's just say that Florida goes gung ho blue. Okay, like for whatever reason, out of left field, we abandoned Trump and his Mar-a-Lago. It's probably not going to happen again. I'm not going to put it towards it, but as a hypothetical,
right?
Florida goes dark blue. Senate, representatives, presidential race, we go dark blue in 2020. Mm. And the state of Florida becomes controlled by the Democratic Party of Florida. I could absolutely see the Democrats here in Florida, in again another battleground state like Ohio, saying, all right, the best way to keep power here is to take all those old Jewish Republican votes or the rural farmhand votes. Oh, farmhand's a bad word there. Let's try again. The rural Floridian votes out in the orange groves and the farmers and cattle ranchers and all them that they only vote once every 4 years and they only vote when they think it's a big deal or that Florida needs the help from Republicans. Right. Those people could be skimmed off the top, and then you only have Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando, Miami.
Okay, I'm with you. But a lot of but a lot of the people for the blue team don't vote in midterm elections because they don't understand the veracity.
That's Americans, bruh. No American, dude. Midterm elections, we don't show up.
Right.
But the thing is I think in Florida you would have a hard time.
And that's my point. It's
anybody,
the same. It's
because you would have to not vote for 8 years. The way Ohio has it, if they took the exact same route, you would have to not vote for 8 years for even to have this possibility happen to you.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
In those contexts, I don't know that work. I don't know that actually ever. I don't know that it occurs like it should. It's still not. Just because it's the law doesn't mean it's right. Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up for this. Are we out of time, Jim?
I think it's everything actually.
All right, we'll talk. We got tariffs to talk about next week.
Oh, next week we're also talking about Rocket Man.
Who, Spaceman or North
Rocket
Korea?
Man. Well, they're both Rocket Men as far as I'm
we'll touch on that stuff later. The North Korea meeting. We'll touch on the aftermath of that as that unfolds.
Fat angry guy.
Yeah,
taller. Fat, angry
taller
guy.
Yeah, taller, still fat, angry guy.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm Trip.
And I'm Jim.
This is Deadcenter, where we try to conversate, not constant hate. Man, y'all like, subscribe, share, comment, tell us you love us, tell us we hate us. 100 subscribers, and we'll do a 9/11 podcast on 9/11 anniversary, and it'll be glorious. Well, I shouldn't say glorious because fucking 9/11 sucks. But anyways, love you guys. Y'all be good out there, and we'll see y'all next week. Get to the fucking point.
Tonight, I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair, and I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Yes, I'm stuck in